Hi everyone, Stefan Millard from Gary Rogers Motorsport here, better known as Stiffy. Today's going to be the first episode in a series of tech videos highlighting the technical details of the exciting new S5000 project. The last few years I've taken a personal interest to see how the S5000 project has been developing, and in 2018 when Gary decided to take over the project, it was obviously really exciting for the team here at GRM and personally to have a real input in creating a new series in Australian motorsport. Upon taking on the project, Gary's design brief was to capture the essence of the old Formula 5000 cars in the 70s and 80s, put a modern twist on that with better safety and reliability, and also try and get the fans back onto the fences at racetracks around the country. We want to showcase the amazing capabilities of Australian design, engineering and manufacturing that we still have in this country. So as many of the parts that we can get designed or made locally, we've included that in the build of the cars. Since taking on the project, you would have seen the prototype car being demonstrated at a lot of the Shannon's National rounds throughout the year. Probably what people don't understand is the car has changed significantly from when we first grabbed the project in December. And every time the car's run, we've had more and more new parts that we've been signing off ready for manufacture. Every time we've run the car, it's been big improvements to either the reliability, the performance, the handling characteristics to the product that you'll see later in September racing at Sandown. For the team here at GRM, obviously our core business is supercars, where typically we only build 1 or 2 cars per year. For the team to then go and build 14 cars in parallel, it's had to take a different approach to our mass manufacturing here, just so we can meet the deadline of our first race in Sandown in late September. Stay tuned for a series of tech videos where we're going to dive deeper into the details of all the components that are required to make this S5000 project a reality. These episodes are going to include a workshop tour, engine, chassis, transmission, suspension, electronics, aero, and finally wheels and tyres. Hi everyone, Stiffy from GRM here again. In this episode of the series, we're going to be going for a workshop tour to show you all the components that are coming together to make the S5000. Alright, so we're here on the workshop floor where all the cars are getting assembled. So we've got our prototype car here that's done all the demonstrations at the Shannon's National races. That's just come back from Ipswich. Got chassis 2, which we got our first transmission 2 days ago from Hollinger Engineering. The guys are just doing their initial fit up on that to make sure it's right to go. So over here we've got the 9 tubs from our second shipment from Onroke in the United States. As you see here on the floor, this is effectively how they come in the kit form, like a big Meccano set. The boys have been pretty busy putting these together. As you can see on the workshop floor, we've got a lot of cars here, 21 in total, split between obviously the S5000s with 14 of them. We've got the 2 main game supercars, 2 Super 2 cars, and the 3 TCR cars. So it's a busy workshop. When I first started at GRM, we were a 2-car supercar team. Obviously now that's grown a fair bit. Gary's pretty good at keeping us busy. Yeah, welcome to our composites room. So at the moment we're building a lot of the bodywork, brake ducts, engine covers, dash panels, all in-house here at GRM. So as you can see, we've got a couple of engine covers fresh out of the mould, ready for trimming. Got a first of our rear brake ducts in the mould. That'll be out this afternoon. And we've got the mould for the S5000 engine cover. It's about a day's work in each one, so yeah, quite a lot of man hours go into all the parts here, and everything's handmade. So in addition to the composites that we do in-house here at GRM, a lot of the components have been coming from Lee Carson from LC Race Composites in Mordialloc. The guys are just finishing off the parts, drilling all the mounting holes and final trimming ready to fit up to the car. So welcome to our sub-assembly and engine shop. So in here, all the parts get assembled before going out to the mechanics to get put onto the car. So for the S5000 project, we're assembling all the uprights, spindles and suspension arms for all the cars. There's some 56 uprights and 140 suspension arms. So yeah, a lot of work going on here at the moment. So the engines themselves are built by Roger Higgins at Innovate up in Brisbane. When they arrive here at our... Thanks, Chips. Good day to you too. When they arrive here at our workshop, we do the final fit out, like clutch, airbox, exhaust, again ready for the mechanics to put onto the cars, ready to race. So at the moment we've got 5 engines here in stock, just doing final fit out, and they should be good to go. Finally, on the workshop floor here, we've got our engineering department. So basically, this is where all the parts are drawn, assembly drawings are done to go out for manufacture and also to give to the mechanics to assemble on the car. So yeah, we've got a full model of the car with all the components on there. It gives you a real insight to make sure things fit and perform as they should when they're made first time. Now we're here in the fabrication department. As you can see, quite a lot of parts getting made. Just as a basic rundown, we're doing all the exhaust pipe, so muffler, header, secondary pipes. We're doing all the cooling system, radiators, and all the hard lines. Also all the oil tanks and header tanks. Hi everyone, Stefan Millard from Gary Rogers Motorsport here, better known as Stiffy. Today's going to be the first episode in a series of tech videos highlighting the technical details of the exciting new S5000 project. The last few years I've taken a personal interest to see how the S5000 project has been developing, and in 2018 when Gary decided to take over the project, it was obviously really exciting for the team here at GRM and personally to have a real input in creating a new series in Australian motorsport. Upon taking on the project, Gary's design brief was to capture the essence of the old Formula 5000 cars in the 70s and 80s, put a modern twist on that with better safety and reliability, and also try and get the fans back onto the fences at racetracks around the country. We want to showcase the amazing capabilities of Australian design, engineering and manufacturing that we still have in this country. So as many of the parts that we can get designed or made locally, we've included that in the build of the cars. Since taking on the project, you would have seen the prototype car being demonstrated at a lot of the Shannon's National rounds throughout the year. Probably what people don't understand is the car has changed significantly from when we first grabbed the project in December, and every time the car's run, we've had more and more new parts that we've been signing off ready for manufacture. Every time we've run the car, it's been big improvements to either the reliability, the performance, the handling characteristics, to the product that you'll see later in September racing at Sandown. For the team here at GRM, obviously our core business is supercars. We're Typically we only build 1 or 2 cars per year. For the team to then go and build 14 cars in parallel, it's had to take a different approach to our mass manufacturing here, just so we can meet the deadline of our first race in Sandown in late September. Stay tuned for a series of tech videos where we're going to dive deeper into the details of all the components that are required to make this S5000 project a reality. These episodes are going to include a workshop tour, engine, chassis, transmission, suspension, electronics, aero, and finally wheels and tyres. Hi everyone, Stiffy from GRM here again. In this episode of the series, we're going to be going for a workshop tour to show you all the components that are coming together to make the S5000. Alright, so we're here on the workshop floor where all the cars are getting assembled. So we've got our prototype car here that's done all the demonstrations at the Shannon's National races. That's just come back from Ipswich. Got chassis 2, which we got our first transmission 2 days ago from Hollinger Engineering. The guys are just doing their initial fit up on that to make sure it's right to go. So over here we've got the 9 tubs from our second shipment from Onroke in the United States. As you see here on the floor, this is effectively how they come in the kit form, like a big Meccano set. The boys have been pretty busy putting these together. As you can see on the workshop floor, we've got a lot of cars here, 21 in total, split between obviously the S5000s with 14 of them. We've got the 2 main game supercars, 2 Super 2 cars, and the 3 TCR cars. So it's a busy workshop. When I first started at GRM, we were a 2-car supercar team. Obviously now that's grown a fair bit. Gary's pretty good at keeping us busy. Yeah, welcome to our composites room. So at the moment we're building a lot of the bodywork, brake ducts, engine covers, dash panels, all in-house here at GRM. So as you can see, we've got a couple of engine covers fresh out of the mould, ready for trimming. Got a first of our rear brake ducts in the mould, that'll be out this afternoon. And we've got the mould for the S5000 engine cover. It's about a day's work in each one, so yeah, quite a lot of man hours go into all the parts here, and everything's handmade. So in addition to the composites that we do in-house here at GRM, a lot of the components have been coming from Lee Carson from LC Race Composites in Mordialloc. The guys are just finishing off the parts, drilling all the mounting holes and final trimming ready to fit up to the car. So welcome to our sub-assembly and engine shop. So in here all the parts get assembled before going out to the mechanics to get put onto the car. So for the S5000 project, we're assembling all the uprights, spindles and suspension arms for all the cars. There's some 56 uprights and 140 suspension arms. So yeah, a lot of work going on here at the moment. So the engines themselves are built by Roger Higgins at Innovate up in Brisbane. When they arrive here at our... Thanks, Chips. Good day to you too. When they arrive here at our workshop, we do the final fit out, like clutch, airbox, exhaust, again ready for the mechanics to put onto the cars, ready to race. So at the moment we've got 5 engines here in stock, just doing final fit out, and they should be good to go. Finally on the workshop floor here we've got our engineering department. So basically this is where all the parts are drawn, assembly drawings are done to go out for manufacture and also to give to the mechanics to assemble on the car. So yeah, we've got a full model of the car. with all the components on there. It gives you a real insight to make sure things fit and perform as they should when they're made first time. Now we're here in the fabrication department. As you can see, quite a lot of parts getting made. Just as a basic rundown, we're doing all the exhaust pipe, so muffler, header, secondary pipes. We're doing all the cooling system, radiators, and all the hard lines. Also all the oil tanks and header tanks, as well as all the steering arms, and suspension arms as well as that. So just to give you guys some numbers, there's 14 cars, 8 cylinders per car, so that's 112 header pipes that need to be welded together. Again, another showcase of the design that we did here at GRM, and also the manufacturing capabilities we've got here. Yep, so we've got Damo here. He's been a bit quiet lately, but he's just making some mufflers. Sorry, no puns in the video. Okay, that's good. Got exhaust turn downs and secondaries being made. And over here at the back of the fab shop, you can see all the secondary pipes getting welded up. Again, another big thing for this project, with the quantity of parts, got to make sure that the jigging and repeatability of all our parts are top notch, so that all the cars are the same. So once the components are finished at the various departments we have around the workshop here, they're all lined up on the racking, ready for the mechanics to do final assembly. As you can see, we've got rear uprights here, suspension arms ready to bolt to the car, front uprights with brake ducts here and here, and push rods and steering arms ready to go on the car. So obviously the logistics of making sure all the parts are completed, ready to go on the cars in time without holding the mechanics up has been a real challenge, but an exciting one. All our suppliers are really delivering the parts now, and it's production full steam ahead.
G'day everybody, this is Scott Birch, otherwise known as The Bee. In this episode of the S5000 Tech Talks, we'll be having a look at the tub. Tubs have evolved a lot over the years, and what we have here is commonly referred to as a safety cell or a survival cell. So you can see the big focus on these often is with the driver's safety. These things are pretty well bomb-proof. The thing that makes them up is you've got quite a thick layer of carbon fibre on either side of an aluminium honeycomb. They're made in a couple of different parts. You can actually see seam lines in the tub. There's a top half moulded and then there's a lower half, and they're actually bonded together, and they're baked in an autoclave, which is basically a low pressure oven to make the chassis as hard as it can possibly be. The tub essentially makes the backbone of an open wheel race car. It's got to be extremely stiff to put up with all of the loads that we're putting into it. We put a lot of loads coming in from suspension, aerodynamic loading. There's an engine bolted to the rear of the chassis here, and then a fuel tank in the rear. So there's a lot of things working there, pushing and pulling this thing. And on top of that, it has to put up with tremendous loads if accidents happen, and they can, and you hit safety barriers and things like that on the circuit. One of the safety features these tubs have is a pretty polarising feature that came out a couple of years ago. It's become mandatory on these cars, the halo. The halo is designed to ensure that the driver is protected from foreign debris like wheels if there's an accident, or even to make sure the crash barriers don't intrude into the cockpit on them. With carbon monocoques, if you have a look at these up close, you can see there's a composite weave in there. Now, the orientation of these fibres is actually very important to how this will deal with stresses from the inputs and from crashes. With the thickness of the layers, there's quite a lot of sheets in there, and you can't just go laying them up wherever you feel like. You actually have to orientate them. There's a process they go through to ensure that the rigidity of the structure is as sound as can possibly be, and if there's an impact, it'll take it. So you'll see sides are often made for side forces, and then you'll see the top's often laid at an angle for torsional rigidity. A few of the reasons for selecting this particular tub was due to its proven on-track record, a lot to do with being an extremely safe cell, and it was easily turned into a high manufacture item for us to take on. It was able to be easily adapted for the very large horsepower that we were putting into the car. And to be honest, when Armageddon comes, there's no safer place you'd rather be than in one of these.
Hi everyone, Stiffy from GRM here again. For our next episode, we're talking about the S5000 engine. So the engine starts life as a Ford Motorsport 5.2 litre Cody Illuminator engine. Comes in a crate from the States. From there, Roger Higgins at Innovate Engines in Queensland does a lot of the work in terms of design and manufacture of the structural rocker covers. The actual engine is structural in the car. Conversion to dry sump, again structural sump, inlet manifold and drive-by-wire system and engine harness for wiring. The basic specs on the engine: produces 560 horsepower. We've got variable valve timing on both the inlet and exhaust, which gives us unbelievable control over the characteristics of the engine over the whole rev range, so it's really quite flexible. Although it's a crate engine from the States, a lot of this is Australian design. As I said, GRM designed and fabricated full stainless steel headers and secondary exhaust system, carbon fibre airbox assembly, and also a GRM specified and fabricated cooling system. So with the design brief of the S5000 to really capture the essence of the old Formula 5000s of the past, the engine's obviously a massive part of that. So we needed to make sure it had the right amount of power, the right sound, flames coming out the exhaust, and again really get the fans on the fence wanting to watch these things race. In addition to that, we've got to make sure it's obviously safe and it's going to be reliable and cheap to run. So obviously having an off-the-shelf crate motor makes the parts readily available and keeps those servicing costs down. So overall with this engine choice, for the teams, we've got a reliable, readily serviceable engine. For the drivers, something really powerful and responsive to drive. And for the fans, the right noise and excitement for the racing.
Hi everyone, this is the B. On today's episode of S5000 Tech Talk, we're having a look at suspension. Suspension on open wheel race cars is generally divided into three main components. You've got your inboard suspension, you've got your mid suspension, and then your outboard. What you'll see when you look into the inner parts of the car, you'll see your suspension mounted in here, so you'll have a spring and a damper system, and then a roll bar to control the movement of the chassis relative to the wheels in there. It's one of the key areas where an engineer will be tuning the car for the driver to give them better feel for the car, to improve ride and handling, so that the driver can go out there and maximise their performance. One thing on these open wheel cars that you won't see on your general road car is push rod suspension. So this is where a push rod actually moves a crank on the chassis, and that's where your loads are transferred into the shock absorber. And one of the key reasons for doing that is aerodynamics. On these open wheel race cars, anything you put in the oncoming airflow is really detrimental to how the car will operate. They're very sensitive to airflow. We try to get as much out of the way of the free stream airflow as possible, and that's where the mid-suspension section comes in. So you can see here, it's all made of an aero tube material. This is all chromoly steel with chromoly inserts in there. It's all welded together. So it's got to take the loads of the wheel getting slammed by the bumps and the aerodynamic loading of the wings and the body of the car. It's got to transfer that through to the shock absorber, and it's got to give the driver a good feel. It can't flex. So they've got to be very stiff for what they do, and then we make sure that the airflow that's leaving it as undisturbed as possible. When we get to the outboard component of the suspension, this is the stuff you don't see, but it's really critical. Hidden behind the wheel is this here. So this is one of the uprights off the S5000. These are all locally produced. The spindle's coming from Hollinger, and the uprights produced by us. The uprights are a billet item, and as you can see, there's quite a lot of air between the outer frame of it and where the bearings are supported in there. This blow-through design makes it really effective at cooling down the brakes on the car and helps keep some weight out of the upright. The other critical thing for the uprights is where you can adjust the performance of the car with things like camber and toe and caster angle of the car to help give the driver the feel they're looking for, or the stability on the track for the ride and handling of the car. So when you go to the track and you see these cars out there, everything you're watching go up and down from the chassis outwards has been made and designed here. It's really showcasing what Australians can do.
Hi everyone, Stiffy from GRM here. In this episode of S5000 Tech Videos, we're going to be talking about the transmission. So here we've got the transaxle for the S5000. Basic terms, gets the engine power from the crankshaft and delivers it to the rear wheels. We've got this absolutely gorgeous bit of kit from Hollinger Engineering, fully designed and manufactured here in Melbourne actually, Kilsyth, and it's bespoke to the S5000. So some of the features of this transaxle: it's got 6 forward gears, 1 reverse, operated pneumatically by paddle shift controlled by the Motec ECU. In the bell housing, we've got an integral engine oil tank and coolant overflow catch tank, really to make the packaging nice and neat. From here, we've got all the rear suspension and shocks and roll bar mounted directly to the transaxle, so this thing's actually structural in the car. Another feature is the limited slip differential. We've got adjustable clutch plates, preload and ramp angle to be able to tune to each driver's requirements and feel, and try and get that power down to the ground. So the reason we selected Hollinger Engineering to supply the S5000 transaxles, again, it's showcasing that Australian design and manufacturing. Super reliable gearbox. We've done thousands of kilometres of testing on the prototype with no failures. And we're really trying to keep the cost down for this category with long service intervals and trying to make it accessible for the racers. So the transaxle was a really big part of this.
Hi everyone, this is the B here. In today's S5000 Tech video, we'll be looking at wheels and tyres. people out there, they underestimate the importance of your wheels and tyres on a race car. When you're designing a car for the track, they're the first place where you start. It's like when you're a kid and you bought a model kit, and the first thing you want to do is see how the car would look as a lowrider, and you got the body out and then you just put the wheels under it and you just saw it and went, that looks cool. Who would have thought you'd be getting ready to find out how to build a real race car? So when we set this up in our computers and do our design in the office, we get our wheels and we set them out, we figure out where we want them on the car, length, track width and sizes. In this category, everybody knows what they want with this car. They want a big rear tyre that's transferring all of that high horsepower into the road. Then they want that small front tyre that's giving it that really aggressive stance. One of the main reasons these cars actually started out with the huge rear tyre was the concepts of aerodynamics were pretty light on in the early days, so a lot of people relied on mechanical grip, so they were moving into very high horsepower V8 engines, and that's where the big tyres got their start there. When it came to selecting a tyre for these cars, Hoosier approached this. They had something that they thought was really good. Max Dumsney was one of the suppliers for the program, and he was a big help in getting us to select the right combination for the car. What we ended up with was something that gives the driver reduced steering effort, but still plenty of front grip, and then a big rear tyre. It's 14 inches wide that gets all that V8 power down to the track. Once we worked through the testing phase and came up with something that we really like, Hoosier went into production and have made these tyres custom spec for us. The input from Max was really critical because on top of helping us choose the right tyre for the car, he was also the one supplying the wheels for his company Max Wheels. The rims for these cars made by Max Wheels are a 3-piece aluminium rim. So 3-piece wheels, no prizes for guessing, they come in 3 different components. On the front side here, we have a rolled aluminium drum there. On the back side there's another one, and these can be customised to whatever offset you want. And in the centre you've got a really strong machined aluminium centre in there, and that provides a lot of the stiffness for the rim. So overall we've come up with a really superior package that helps contain costs, but also gives the driver a really good wheel for road holding, comfort, and most of all, getting the most out of the car on track.
Hi everyone, Stiffy from GRM here. In today's episode of our S5000 tech videos, we're going to be talking about electronics. So with the electronics for the S5000 cars, our design brief was to keep it as simple and low cost as possible while maximising the reliability where we can. As a template for the electronics in the S5000, we looked at Porsche Carrera Cup to see what sensors and electronics were required to run a race category. So as with the rest of the 5000, our design brief was to again showcase Australian manufacturing and design work. So for the electronics package, the hardware is supplied by Motec for ECU, PDM, dash and data logger. The looms themselves, wiring looms, are designed here in-house by GRM and then made absolute gorgeous looms by Ryan Corley at ProLoom in Richmond, Melbourne, and engine looms by Chris Archer up in Queensland. Again, looking for something that's going to run for years without any issues and provide a really cost-effective solution for the category. Obviously what the drivers are going to be looking at and focused on, and probably the only visible part of the electronics, is the steering wheel. So we've done a custom design steering wheel here at GRM to make sure it fits nicely with the tub, and also our requirements from a aesthetic point of view, and allowed us to put a fair bit of customization into it. We did this for a couple of reasons, mainly to make sure we get the functionality that we want with the Motec dash and shift light module, and also the critical switches that you need to run one of these race cars. So with everything happening here at GRM, obviously building 14 cars, the scale of things is something that we haven't really dealt with before. So just to give you guys an example, the handles here are 3D printed in-house. There's obviously 14 steering wheels, and that was 28 days of printer time. So when you start adding that to every part on the car, you can just see the volume of work that's going on here. So with the philosophy of the S5000 being a controlled category, it was really important from an electronics point of view that the engine map and everything was identical between the cars to produce the same power. So from that point, the teams running the cars won't have access to the ECU, again in an effort to keep costs down as well. However, the dash data is available to analyse all the driver inputs and to get the most out of the driver, because obviously with this class we want the racing to be hard and the difference to come from the drivers. Hi everyone, Stefan Millard from Gary Rogers Motorsport here, better known as Stiffy. Today's going to be the first episode in a series of tech videos highlighting the technical details of the exciting new S5000 project. The last few years have taken a personal interest to see how the S5000 project has been developing, and in 2018 when Gary decided to take over the project, it was obviously really exciting for the team here at GRM and personally to have a real input in creating a new series in Australian motorsport. Upon taking on the project, Gary's design brief was to capture the essence of the old Formula 5000 cars in the 70s and 80s, put a modern twist on that with better safety and reliability, and also try and get the fans back onto the fences at racetracks around the country. We want to showcase the amazing capabilities of Australian design, engineering and manufacturing that we still have in this country. So as many of the parts that we can get designed or made locally, we've included that in the build of the cars. Since taking on the project, you would have seen the prototype car being demonstrated at a lot of the Shannon's National rounds throughout the year. Probably what people don't understand is the car has changed significantly from when we first grabbed the project in December, and every time the car's run, we've had more and more new parts that we've been signing off ready for manufacture. Every time we've run the car, it's been big improvements to either the reliability, the performance, the handling characteristics, to the product that you'll see later in September racing at Sandown. For the team here at GRM, obviously our core business is supercars, where typically we only build 1 or 2 cars per year. For the team to then go and build 14 cars in parallel, it's had to take a different approach to our mass manufacturing here, just so we can meet the deadline of our first race in Sandown in late September. Stay tuned for a series of tech videos where we're going to dive deeper into the details of all the components that are required to make this S5000 project a reality. These episodes are going to include a workshop tour, engine, chassis, transmission, suspension, electronics, aero, and finally wheels and tyres. Hi everyone, Stiffy from GRM here again. In this episode of the series, we're going to be going for a workshop tour to show you all the components that are coming together to make the S5000. Right, so we're here on the workshop floor where all the cars are getting assembled. So we've got our prototype car here that's done all the demonstrations at the Shannon's National Races. That's just come back from Ipswich. Got chassis 2, which we got our first transmission 2 days ago from Hollinger Engineering. The guys are just doing their initial fit up on that to make sure it's right to go. So over here we've got the 9 tubs from our second shipment from Unroke in the United States. As you see here on the floor, this is effectively how they come in the kit form, like a big Meccano set. The boys have been pretty busy putting these together. As you can see on the workshop floor, we've got a lot of cars here, 21 in total, split between obviously the S5000s with 14 of them. We've got the 2 main game supercars, 2 Super 2 cars, and the 3 TCR cars. So it's a busy workshop. When I first started at GRM, we were a 2-car supercar team. Obviously now that's grown a fair bit. Gary's pretty good at keeping us busy. Yeah, welcome to our composites room. So at the moment we're building a lot of the bodywork, brake ducts, engine covers, dash panels, all in-house here at GRM. So as you can see, we've got a couple of engine covers fresh out of the mould, ready for trimming. Got a first of our rear brake ducts in the mould, that'll be out this afternoon. And we've got the mould for the S5000 engine cover. It's about a day's work in each one, so yeah, quite a lot of man hours go into all the parts here, and everything's handmade. So in addition to the composites that we do in-house here at GRM, a lot of the components have been coming from Lee Carson from LC Race Composites in Mordialloc. The guys are just finishing off the parts, drilling all the mounting holes and final trimming ready to fit up to the car. So welcome to our sub-assembly and engine shop. So in here, all the parts get assembled before going out to the mechanics to get put onto the car. So for the S5000 project, we're assembling all the uprights, spindles and suspension arms for all the cars. There's some 56 uprights and 140 suspension arms. So yeah, a lot of work going on here at the moment. So the engines themselves are built by Roger Higgins at Innovate up in Brisbane. When they arrive here at our... Thanks, Chips. Good day to you too. When they arrive here at our workshop, we do the final fit out, like clutch, airbox, exhaust, again ready for the mechanics to put onto the cars, ready to race. So at the moment we've got 5 engines here in stock, just doing final fit out, and they should be good to go. Finally on the workshop floor here we've got our engineering department. So basically this is where all the parts are drawn, assembly drawings are done to go out for manufacture and also to give to the mechanics to assemble on the car. So yeah, we've got a full model of the car with all the components on there. It gives you a real insight to make sure things fit and perform as they should when they're made first time. Now we're here in the fabrication department. As you can see, quite a lot of parts getting made. Just as a basic rundown, we're doing all the exhaust pipe, so muffler, header, secondary pipes. We're doing all the cooling system, radiators, and all the hard lines. Also all the oil tanks and header tanks, as well as all the steering arms, and suspension arms as well as that. So yeah, so just to give you guys some numbers, there's 14 cars, 8 cylinders per car, so that's 112 header pipes that need to be welded together. Again, another showcase of the design that we did here at GRM and also the manufacturing capabilities we've got here. Yep, so we've got Damo here. He's been a bit quiet lately, but he's just making some mufflers. Sorry, no puns in the video. Okay, that's good. Got exhaust turn downs and secondaries being made. And over here at the back of the fab shop, you can see all the secondary pipes getting welded up. Again, another big thing for this project with the quantity of parts, got to make sure that the jigging and repeatability of all our parts are top notch, so that all the cars are the same. So once the components are finished at the various departments we have around the workshop here, they're all lined up on the racking, ready for the mechanics to do final assembly. As you can see, we've got rear uprights here, suspension arms ready to bolt to the car, front uprights with brake ducts here and here, and push rods and steering arms ready to go on the car. So obviously the logistics of making sure all the parts are completed, ready to go on the cars in time without holding the mechanics up has been a real challenge, but an exciting one. All our suppliers are really delivering the parts now, and yeah, it's production full steam ahead.
G'day everybody, this is Scott Birch, otherwise known as The Bee. In this episode of the S5000 Tech Talks, we'll be having a look at the tub. Tubs have evolved a lot over the years, and what we have here is commonly referred to as a safety cell or a survival cell. So you can see the big focus on these often is with the driver's safety. These things are pretty well bomb-proof. The thing that makes them up is you've got quite a thick layer of carbon fibre on either side of an aluminium honeycomb. They're made in a couple of different parts. You can actually see seam lines in the tub. There's a top half moulded and then there's a lower half, and they're actually bonded together, and they're baked in an autoclave, which is basically a low pressure oven to make the chassis as hard as it can possibly be. The tub essentially makes the backbone of an open wheel race car. It's got to be extremely stiff to put up with all of the loads that we're putting into it. We put a lot of loads coming in from suspension, aerodynamic loading. There's an engine bolted to the rear of the chassis here, and then a fuel tank in the rear. So there's a lot of things working in there, pushing and pulling this thing. And on top of that, it has to put up with tremendous loads if accidents happen, and they can, and you hit safety barriers and things like that on the circuit. One of the safety features these tubs have is a pretty polarising feature that came out a couple of years ago. It's become mandatory on these cars, the halo. The halo is designed to ensure that the driver is protected from foreign debris like wheels if there's an accident, or even to make sure the crash barriers don't intrude into the cockpit on them. With carbon monocoques, if you have a look at these up close, you can see there's a composite weave in there. Now, the orientation of these fibres is actually very important to how this will deal with stresses from the inputs and from crashes. With the thickness of the layers, there's quite a lot of sheets in there, and you can't just go laying them up wherever you feel like. You actually have to orientate them. There's a process they go through to ensure that the rigidity of the structure is as sound as can possibly be, and if there's an impact, it'll take it. So you'll see sides are often made for side forces, and then you'll see the top's often laid at an angle for torsional rigidity. A few of the reasons for selecting this particular tub was due to its proven on-track record, a lot to do with being an extremely safe cell, and it was easily turned into a high manufacture item for us to take on. It was able to be easily adapted for the very large horsepower that we were putting into the car. And to be honest, when Armageddon comes, there's no safer place you'd rather be than in one of these.
Hi everyone, Stiffy from GRM here again. For our next episode, we're talking about the S5000 engine. So the engine starts life as a Ford Motorsport 5.2 litre Cody Illuminator engine. It comes in a crate from the States. From there, Roger Higgins at Innovate Engines in Queensland does a lot of the work in terms of design and manufacture of the structural rocker covers. The actual engine is structural in the car. Conversion to dry sump, again structural sump, inlet manifold and drive-by-wire system and engine harness for wiring. The basic specs on the engine: produces 560 horsepower. We've got variable valve timing on both the inlet and exhaust, which gives us unbelievable control over the characteristics of the engine over the whole rev range, so it's really quite flexible. Although it's a crate engine from the States, a lot of this is Australian design. As I said, GRM designed and fabricated full stainless steel headers and secondary exhaust system, carbon fibre airbox assembly, and also a GRM specified and fabricated cooling system. So with the design brief of the S5000 to really capture the essence of the old Formula 5000s of the past, the engine's obviously a massive part of that. So we needed to make sure it had the right amount of power, the right sound, flames coming out the exhaust, and again, really get the fans on the fence wanting to watch these things race. In addition to that, we've got to make sure it's obviously safe, and it's going to be reliable and cheap to run. So obviously having an off-the-shelf crate motor makes the parts readily available and keeps those servicing costs down. So overall with this engine choice, for the teams, we've got a reliable, readily serviceable engine. For the drivers, something really powerful and responsive to drive. And for the fans, the right noise and excitement for the racing.
Hi everyone, this is the B. On today's episode of S5000 Tech Talk, we're having a look at suspension. Suspension on open wheel race cars is generally divided into three main components. You've got your inboard suspension, you've got your mid suspension, and then your outboard. What you'll see when you look into the inner parts of the car, you'll see your suspension mounted in here, so you'll have a spring and a damper system, and then a roll bar to control the movement of the chassis relative to the wheels in there. It's one of the key areas where an engineer will be tuning the car for the driver to give them better feel for the car, to improve ride and handling, so that the driver can go out there and maximise their performance. One thing on these open wheel cars that you won't see on your general road car is push rod suspension. So this is where a push rod actually moves a crank on the chassis, and that's where your loads are transferred into the shock absorber. And one of the key reasons for doing that is aerodynamics. On these open wheel race cars, anything you put in the oncoming airflow is really detrimental to how the car will operate. They're very sensitive to airflow. We try to get as much out of the way of the free stream airflow as possible, and that's where the mid suspension section comes in. So you can see here, it's all made of an aero tube material. This is all chromoly steel with chromoly inserts in there. It's all welded together. So it's got to take the loads of the wheel getting slammed by the bumps and the aerodynamic loading of the wings and the body of the car. It's got to transfer that through to the shock absorber, and it's got to give the driver a good feel. It can't flex. So they've got to be very stiff for what they do, and then we make sure that the airflow that's leaving it as undisturbed as possible. When we get to the outboard component of the suspension, this is the stuff you don't see, but it's really critical. Hidden behind the wheel is this here. So this is one of the uprights off the S5000. These are all locally produced. Spindles coming from Hollinger, and the uprights produced by us. The uprights are a billet item. As you can see, there's quite a lot of air between the outer frame of it and where the bearings are supported in there. This blow-through design makes it really effective at cooling down the brakes on the car and helps keep some weight out of the upright. The other critical thing for the uprights is where you can adjust the performance of the car with things like camber and toe and caster angle of the car to help give the driver the feel they're looking for, or the stability on the track for the ride and handling of the car. So when you go to the track and you see these cars out there, everything you're watching go up and down from the chassis outwards has been made and designed here. It's really showcasing what Australians can do.
Hi everybody, I'm Aaron Noonan. Welcome along to round 4 tonight of the carsales ARG eSport Cup. Tony D'Alberto's back with me, and we are tonight coming to you from the home of the Melbourne Performance Centre. This is where our eSport Customer Racing is based in Melbourne in the outer suburbs, which leads me to the question of how did you get in your Honda jacket?
I'm certainly outnumbered tonight, Noons. We've got all these beautiful Volkswagens and Audis behind me, and I tried to represent Honda the best I could, but yeah, certainly outnumbered.
Now, in previous weeks here in this competition, it's been the likes of these cars behind us, the touring cars, that have been the cars that our competitors have been driving. But tonight we're mixing it up. We're changing to Formula 3 open wheelers, and we're actually going to Monza, the home of the Italian Grand Prix. The thing I am expecting, in fact, is slipstreaming. That will really come into play on this long track, and the cars really don't lend themselves to what the touring cars do, where you can use the bumpers.
Yeah, you can't have as much bump and grind as we know. Last week we saw a lot of slipstreaming.
We saw a lot of bump and grind as well, by the way.
We certainly did. So the slipstreaming's back, but maybe not the bump and grind. But I'm really, really excited to see how these F3 cars go, and to see what drivers can adapt to the F3 car rather than what we've run previously.
We've spoken to a few drivers during the course of the week, and a lot of them have said that these cars are actually really difficult to drive, even though they are aerodynamic type race cars. Let's have a look at the venue for tonight's fourth round of the series. It is the home of the Italian Grand Prix, Monza. The Grand Prix layout, 5.79 kilometres, 11 turns, and it's the Dallara F3 car that we will be driving tonight for our field of 43. It's 40 regular ARG competitors and 3 wildcards that finished top 3 in a wildcard race last night to earn their way onto the grid. Championship points, Ash Sutton, the British driver, leads the way. 191. He had a win last week that we'll have a look at those highlights in just a sec. Nathan Hearn, the Trans Am driver, second from Harley Haber, representing V8 touring cars. And Dylan O'Keefe, who last week had a shocker, he needs to bounce back tonight.
Yeah, well, he's been spending enough time on the sim this week. I've been keeping a close eye on it. I think it's up to about 30 hours of trying to get ready for this round. So he's really serious about trying to claw those points back. Another guy that I think tonight might really suit the F3 car is James Golding.
S5000 drivers, they know their way around open wheelers. They're probably used to having a bit more power behind them in one of those cars than in the F3 that they're driving tonight. Let's have a look at the highlights from the previous round of the series. Was Audi touring cars at Watkins Glen, of course, the former home of the US Grand Prix. Stephen Johnson in the blue 17 ended up in the wall before he got to turn 1.
Yeah, we saw so much action there. George Mediki getting taken out big time. This was an interesting battle there with Ricky Capo and Garth Tander on the left-hand side. Around they went.
And that was Dylan O'Keefe, who this really hurt his series point score. They all slid off Braden Wilmington down the end of the road. And this was the fight for the win. Ash Sutton, Tom Randall, who'd started outside the top 10. Harley Haber was out in front. Last corner, look what happens to Tom Randall. Just gets a little rub off the road, out of the podium positions. Race 2, it was on again, and again down the back straight, another multi-car shunt.
Yeah, we saw this quite a bit, and we were sort of talking about it, whether or not the drivers can feel when they're actually up behind the other car. That's really played a big part in the results. Ash Sutton, though, he was a star performer. He come back through the field and was, for me, the quickest driver out there.
He got the move done on Harley Haber, who was trying to win back-to-back races and become the first driver in the series this year to manage to do that. In the end, though, Ash Sutton took the victory with Harley Haber home second, effectively the round winner for the night because he won the first race and got second place in the second. Now, I really reckon that we won't see much change tonight in terms of the drivers who'll be in the top 10 or 15, because the fact is, as you mentioned before, the likes of Dylan O'Keefe and these younger drivers, they are living in these simulators during the week. They don't have wives, girlfriends, families, dogs, businesses, all these things that take up time.
Yep.
They've put in bulk hours. I don't really think that the change of car is going to affect that too much, but it only takes one massive shunt to take out 2 or 3 at the front, and it could open it up for everybody else. Agree?
Absolutely, and we've seen drivers that have got to the lead that might not be totally the quickest driver, but they've been able to maintain that lead. So the damage factor is the big thing here.
I've got a funny feeling, though, when you don't have bumpers and you don't have mud guards, doors, that some of these guys are going to be in really big trouble. Hey, can't wait for the action. Qualifying is underway. We'll join in just a few moments' time, but in the meantime, here's a special word from our friends at Car Sales.
This is how I'd sell a car. Proper marketing. Oh, put effort into your photos. Value your car appropriately. Like $500, I don't know, take it. I hate it. It's got beautiful signalers. You can put CDs in there. The right pedal goes all the way down, and it's got, it's a gear shift, and it's a stick shift. Sold. Wait, shouldn't this be in the car?
Great to have you with us as we get ready. Qualifying, Astrontech qualifying underway for round 4 of the Car Sales ARG eSport Cup at the home of the Italian Grand Prix. Monza is the venue for our 2 races this evening. We've got viewers, Tony, from all over the world right now. The UK, South Africa, the Netherlands, Australia, New Zealand, Botswana. We even have viewers tuning in tonight to the action. A field of 43 cars taking to the historic Monza circuit. Qualifying, all about finding someone to be your friend, someone to go slipstreaming with.
Yeah, I think that's going to play a big key tonight. We've got long straights here, cars with not a lot of power, so they're going to rely on trying to get that slipstream, but it's sort of a bit of a challenge to pick the right person to buddy up with. You don't want somebody that's going to eventually hold you up, and you've got to try and get that advantage when it's suits you, your tyres are up, everything's in peak condition to really get that one lap speed.
Watch the cars on qualifying laps, particularly curve through from the exit of the Parabolica and dive towards that pit wall. We're watching here Tim Macro, the open wheeler guru, really, of course. Races S5000 now. He's been a Gold Star champion in Formula 3. He's one of a bunch of drivers in the field tonight who have driven Dallara F3 cars, which are what we're racing tonight for real. They know these cars intimately.
Yeah, I mean, Timmy Macro has been a standout in Australian F3 for a long time. He knows the cars well. He knows how to drive these cars well. That's what's really impressive. It'll be interesting to see how it translates tonight. Obviously, very different in the virtual world, but he's actually going quite well at the moment. He's up in P7. We haven't quite, shown what everyone's made of, but what we've watched in practice, there's been a huge amount of cars dropping wheels and ending up in the fence and pulling wheels off their cars.
There's been a lot of wheels bouncing around in the practice session earlier on this evening. Harley Haber has set the first benchmark time, 1:43.61. That's not far away from the fastest time we saw in practice earlier this evening. Luca Jackman, I think he was down to a 43.4 or thereabouts in the session that we watched offline a little bit earlier on. Here he is in car number 7, the Team Valvoline GRM machine, one of 3 wildcards. There was a wildcard race last night. Top 3 earn a spot on the grid with a whole host of ARG regulars who race in ARG categories. We've drawn drivers from S5000, TCR Australia, TCR New Zealand, Touring Car Masters, Trans Am. I'm running out. Bathurst 6-hour drivers. I think we've got just about all of them covered as well. And BA Touring Cars, of course, too. So there's a wide range of drivers, and we've really mixed it up tonight because we've driven the Audi Touring Cars for the last couple of weeks. Now we go open wheeler racing, and really, we're seeing a lot of the same names running at the front, but some of the open wheel experts have really pushed their way up the order tonight so far, with Harley Haber the fastest so far, 1:43.6. Next best is Will Brown, who, remember, we know him for his supercar racing and his TCR racing. He's an open wheeler driver. He was a Formula 4 champion. He was runner-up in Formula Ford. He knows his way when it comes to putting wings on a race car.
I think he knows his way around most race cars, but he's been spending a huge amount of time in the sim. We're on board with him now, and spending that extra time has really improved him in the virtual world. Before, he did struggle a little bit, let's sort of be honest, but now he's spending quite a bit of time. He's getting a real feel for it, and those results are starting to show what he's actually made of there. So he's jumped on all day basically today to try and get a feel for the F3 car around Monza, and so far so good.
Second chicane, he exits there on the run up to the first of the Lesmo corners, turn 4 on this Monza circuit, and then the next one's the tricky one. Of course, there's a bit of shade there over the curbing, which makes it a bit difficult, but this corner, turn 5, is the one that's caught a lot of drivers out in practice who run wide into that AstroTurf, left rear in the AstroTurf, no grip, rotating to the inside fence.
Yeah, we saw that quite a few years ago actually in Formula 1 when Lewis Hamilton dropped a wheel in the exact same spot and hit the inside wall. So I think tonight we're going to see that quite a bit, because as soon as you get tucked up behind another car and you lose that little bit of aero, it's quite easy to obviously lose the grip and put you a little bit wide and could be in a little bit of trouble. A couple of things though when we're going racing. Curbs, probably Formula 3 cars not going to enjoy them too much. They're very stiff and can bend the arms on the cars very good. Bump and grinds, probably not a good thing. But the biggest thing for me is going to be turn 1 at the start of the race. 43 cars trying to barrel into what is effectively a first gear corner. And like I said, you can't really have that bump and grind. So you might have to be a little bit cautious on the entry to turn 1 to make sure you get out and actually, have a good race.
And that has been the thing we've seen over the course of practice this evening, to get a grip of right here, this first chicane, so slow. Some drivers go first gear, some guys are taking second gear to minimise the wheel spin on the exit. Riding here with Tom Randall, who has been busy when it comes to his virtual racing in recent times. He was on for a podium last week in this series at Watkins Glen, but got a tap at the last corner and ran wide and lost that opportunity. He's now third fastest in this qualifying session, 10.5 minutes to go, plenty of time. Race format tonight, TD, 2 20-minute races with the second race to be a reverse top 20 grid. So no compulsory pit stops or anything like that. We're very much following what a Formula 3 race has been traditionally. They are sprint races with no refueling because they're very small fuel tanks.
Yeah, I really like tonight's format. Short, sharp sprint races. You've really got to maximise that opening lap, get around cars if you can. And what are you saying there, Noons? You've got hot news. Hot news if your name's Luca Jackman, because he's gone to the top. Here he is down the turn 1 chicane. 1:43.546 is the new benchmark time. He's pipped Harley Haber by bees knees stuff, 0.02 of a second. But still, with just under 10 minutes to go on the clock, James Golding's in the mix now, 8th fastest in the Valvoline number 31 car. Of course, S5000 races these days, very experienced with supercars. Let's pick up James here at the first chicane on the exit curve on the
run out there, and then all the way through here, it's flat strap through Peva Grande at turn 2, and that run up to the next chicane, which is a little bit of a faster chicane than the first one, and it is a really good overtaking opportunity.
Yeah, when you compare the first chicane, which is first or second gear, depending on how you like to drive your car, this next chicane here is third gear, so quite a bit quicker, but the really important thing here is exits. Getting a nice straight exit, getting on the gas early, as we've already mentioned. Not a huge amount of power. You have to make sure you're flowing the car off into the sand there. That won't be the first time that we see that tonight.
You notice there James Golding changed up to 5th gear before the second Lesmo corner. A lot of drivers stay in 4th up on the limiter. Some decide to switch to 5th to take the approach. Jaden Ransley now has jumped to 3rd. John Martin is 4th. The times are starting to tumble as the drivers get their eye in on this Monza circuit. There's not too many people in this field who have been to Italy, let alone raced at Monza, let alone driven a Formula 3 car at Monza as well.
No, we've got, obviously, as you mentioned there, Barton Moore, who has actually won a Formula 3 race at Monza. So that's really impressive. He's, potentially got maybe a little bit of a head start on everyone today, or tonight, I should say. But just going back to the actual balance of the car, setup of the car, as we've mentioned, lock setup. Everyone's got exactly the same car underneath them, same conditions for everybody. Now this setup that we're running tonight is a very slippery setup, so not a lot of downforce on the cars. So you should be able to run fairly close, but the slipstream won't be as effective, let's say, if we had a huge amount of downforce on them.
But it's still handy enough to find lap time, particularly in qualifying here, as we see Barton Moore with riding behind him. That's Niels Langeveld, the Dutch driver, who at the moment's P5. He's raced with us in previous weeks, but he's a wildcard entry this week. Finished in the top 3 last night in the wildcard race to get a gig tonight. So it's Jackaman on top, Habers second, Jaden Ransley's third from John Martin. Langeveld, who I mentioned before on screen, is next. Then Thomas Randall, Nathan Hearn, Will Brown, James Golding, Dylan O'Keefe. That's your top 10. Here's Ash Sutton, the Englishman who leads the series in the carsales ARG eSport Cup, the Panther Fuel 116 at the moment. P32 yet to set a lap time, but just wait because it's coming.
Yeah, sure it is. He's been an absolute star this whole championship. These cars, what I found was they'd take about probably 3 laps, the tyres to come up, and then they've got about 5 or 6 laps where the tyres are at their peak. So you sort of got to tiptoe around a little bit. And again, coming back to my point about the opening lap going into turn 1 in the race is going to be really tricky. So the challenge the guys have got now is to actually bring the tyres up to temperature, and it's very much like in real life, trying to bring the actual temperature up without hurting the rubber. So that's what these guys are doing. They're circulating at a sort of moderate pace, and then once that grip level's there, they'll have a real hot lap. Who we got there? Let's just cut the chicane there. Wilmington, I think.
Yep. With one of the most luridly coloured liveries in the carsales ARG eSport Cup. S5000 driver, son of Gary Wilmington, long-time touring car driver of many touring cars over the years, and you'll be excited to know, TD, I brought some Monza facts along for tonight.
Yes, I look forward to these every week.
Quiet, you can learn some history. I've got some cool stuff that's coming up a little bit later on tonight. Thanks for joining us. Wherever you're watching on the world of online, whatever country you might be in, whatever time zone it might be in, it's great to see and know that there's so many people who are tuning in. Garth Tander here, JMEC Racing, number 75. We talked to him before coming on air tonight. He said, I've owned 4 Formula 3 cars in my time through the Tandersport team and never driven any of them. This is his first time in any form of Formula 3 car.
That's a terrible deal, I reckon.
I reckon he's really been stiff there. He's missed out completely.
So we're coming live tonight from MPC, Melbourne Performance Centre, and Garth is just down the hallway on his SimWorks sim, getting ready for qualifying now. So he's been really consistent over the championship. He's managed to win a race, and also last round at Watkins Glen, he was a really strong contender as well.
Do you want to have another go at that?
Sorry about that, guys, yeah. That was a technical glitch.
Well, your mouth
no, we're not mentioning any technical glitches.
I don't know what you're talking about. Hey, Jackaman is still at the top. 1:43.409. It's 300ths to Langeveld, who is second fastest in Astron Tech qualifying. This is round 4. If you've just tuned in to the carsales ARG eSport Cup, looking at Garth Tander, the 2007 Supercars champion, improves P17, 1:44.450. He's what is he? He's a second away from the fast times that are going on at the front of the timesheets at the moment, with 4.5 minutes on the clock. Tim Macro here in the 23 car the UCS group entry with that distinctive orange and black livery out of the parabolic onto the pit straight.
I'd like to see how Ash Sutton's going. He's probably about time for him to pop up. He's a bit further down than what we'd like. Back in 24th at the moment. Getting back to Garth, though.
One off in the background, TD. There was a big shunt in the background there on the exit of the second chicane. We were picking up Ash Sutton, and I reckon that was Jeremy Gray because it's been reset to
Here comes the replay.
Total replay. And what did I say? This is the second Lesmos. Whoop, yep. Oh, he's got more than AstroTurf. He's got gravel and he's got wall.
We're going to see that a lot tonight. As soon as they're out in that gravel, car bottoms out, and basically the drivers lose all steering. So, talking about Garth for a sec, qualifying hasn't been his strong point in this championship, but in the races he always manages to sort of come through. So, interesting to see if he can get himself up in a good position in qualifying, because if he can have some strong races.
We should point out for the format tonight, race 1, which will be determined by the qualifying order, is full points. Race 2, with the inversion of the top half of the field, is for half points. So that's a little tweak to the formula and the format for this evening. Just over 3 minutes to go in qualifying here, and you can see not too many people driving around on their own because they're all looking for a slipstream buddy to help tow them around the track. Jason Bargwanna jumps up to 12th in the Burson Auto Parts car. Looking there at Will Brown. James Golding here. Brown at the moment is P8. Golding is 9th. And 3 minutes to go. So there's some time here to find a little bit more lap time. Aaron Borg jumps now up into P15. He's one of the wildcard entries tonight. Peg McMallen jumps into the top 10. Everyone's getting their eye in and starting to find a bit more time.
It's all happening now, and you would have seen just a minute ago there, cars jostle for position. It's getting down to the wire now, and you actually need to get yourself in a good position so you can take advantage of that slipstream, but not get caught up with anybody else's mess. As we see another car around just in front.
Oh boy! Ash Sutton in the wrong place at the wrong time. Down the road he goes. Have you got the phone number for Delara Spare Parts, TD?
I don't actually. I've got him on speed dial here.
you might make some extra money. Let's have a look. Total replay. I think Sutton's in the wrong place at the wrong time here.
And this is just what we were speaking about, trying to utilise that slipstream, but not get caught up in someone else's mess. I think it might have been Chelsea Angelo that was around.
Tom Randall was the car in front, but then there was one that was gone around in front, and you're right, it was the Astron Tech number 2 car of Chelsea Angelo and Sutton. Suddenly that car was parked and revealed with Tom Randall revealing it by moving. So at least they can get back on the road and try to get around, but with 1:34 to go, they're not going to get around for another lap. That's a spin at turn 1. I think it was Will Brown, was it not?
Yeah, I think it was. Cars are quite loose in the rear under brakes, especially down to turn 1. 6 gear, big brake back to first, so you can imagine, and it's past the 100-metre board, so it's super deep. The balance of the braking is quite crucial in that area. Let's see what Garth can do, whether he can jump up.
He's 20th at the moment, Tony. You'll get another lap in.
No, he didn't go up.
Didn't go up. Aaron Borg did. He's 9th. Just under a minute to go. It's Giacomin on top, a 1:43.378. Jason Gomersall here in the unit, number 35 car, the TCM racer. This ain't no Tirana. This is very different to what he's racing when he's out there on the track in TCM.
I wonder which one he prefers more. All right, we're down to the wire here. Let's see if anybody can jump up in these last 35 seconds. This is going to set the grid for race 1.
Luca Giacomin looking good for that Astron Tech pole position. He was the fast driver in practice earlier this evening. Looking here at Jeremy Gray in a bit of slipstreaming down the famous front straight at Monza. So it's Giacomin on top, Langeveld next, Haber, Ransley, Martin, Randall, Nathan Hearn. He's in the fight for the series. Ooh, car spun. Mike Sinclair gets out of the way. Well done, because those guys were not far away getting to where the carsales number 4 car was. Checkered flag. Clock stops. And Giacomin is the man, which is not a shock because earlier on in practice, we saw all of this sort of stuff going on. He was fast.
He's been super impressive throughout, so interesting to see whether he can continue that. We've got Niels Langeveld there in second, Harley Haber P3, Jaden Ransley in P4, John Martin, my mate, in P5, Thomas Randall, Nathan Hearn, James Golding, Aaron Borg, and Will Brown rounds out the top 10.
But the big news, Tony, is that the series leader, Ash Sutton, is 27th on the grid. The drivers he's fighting in the points with, Nathan Hearn, he's in the front part of the field. He's starting 7th. Harley Haber, 3rd in the points. He's 3rd on the grid. They stand to make really big ground. Jason Barguana there, 14th, alongside Dylan O'Keefe. Nick Carroll in 17th from Tim Macro. Then Ricky Capo and Brett Holdsworth in the TPS group entry, rounding out the top 20. The front 10 rows of the grid for race 1. There's Garth Tander in P21. Let's dial down to Melbourne now, or no, we're in Melbourne, so let's dial somewhere else in Melbourne.
Drive across.
Hey, Thomas Randall has qualified P6. You are doing lots of sim racing lately, mate. Good job.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been a good couple of days. I got to do the Supercars E-Series last night, so yeah, looking forward to tonight, and hopefully I can nail this start.
We'll let you go because this race is about to get underway. Full focus, full focus.
No worries. Thanks, boys. Cheers.
I don't want to ruin anybody's mental preparation for another race. We're getting ready for the first race of 2 tonight, round 4 of the carsales ARG eSport Cup Formula 3 Dalaras on the famous Monza circuit. We're good to go. Aaron Noonan and Tony Delberto with you, getting ready for this one, and it is going to be a cracker. Luca Jackman on pole position, our wildcard driver, the Dutchman Niels Jangevel, driving for Track Tech Racing from New Zealand. We're off and rolling. 43 cars on the run down to turn 1. 20 minutes on the clock. Let's see if they all make it through the first chicane. In fact, one of them in the background has not even got anywhere near the postcode of the first chicane as they dial on down. Harley Haber's made the jump. The Kumho tyre car is off and rolling, but a spinner in the background. And I reckon that might have been Nathan Hearn, and this will be the absolute disaster zone that we thought it might be.
Absolute chaos. I actually thought for a second there we were going to get through that first chicane unscathed, but
Wrong.
I was very wrong there. So we've got quite a few cars out of action at the moment. They're going to have to get repairs in the pit lane.
That's a real drama, and keep an eye on any cars that have got wing damage. It'll cost them somewhere in the realm of 15 kilometres per hour down the long straights of Monza. Will Brown here in the number 1 car trying to fight back. A lot of cars didn't have damage at turn 1. They just had nowhere to go because there were cars left, right and centre. And I think I called Nathan Hearn before as being one of the ones around. I don't think he was, now that we've seen the timing screen start to unfold. But the top 2 are away. Harley Haber leader, Lucas Jackerman in 2nd spot, John Martin next from Nathan Hearn. We need to see a replay to see who that car was that spun at the first chicane, but it has spread the field out by a mile. Let's have a look on the Total replay, and Jaden Ransley in the Track Tech car, and then from there on it is who did what to who. We will be here all night explaining whose problem was whose, what, where, why, now.
It was all happening in the background before we even got to turn 1. Let's have a look from the overhead shot there. Just spins on the curb. And unfortunately, everybody's trying to get around. Was it Jaden Ransley?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, so there's been some big movers in the field. There's Aaron Seaton in that fluoro-yellow number 8, who tonight is wearing a different race suit from his dad's cupboard every night. He's been sharing on socials. He's running the Ford Tickford racing suit with the Shell Australian Touring Car Champion winner's garland on it. So he thinks he's a winner before he's even raced.
That might be a bit hard to actually steer the car.
He might have taken it off the race. On board here with Harley Haber, leading the way. He nearly clean swept last week on Thursday night with 2 wins last time out at Watkins Glen, a 1st and a 2nd. He's right in the title fight. This is awesome news for his title chase because he's 3rd in the points and his title combatants are nowhere in the fight. Contact there behind. Nathan Hearn off the road, the Gulf Western Oils car, another of those title rivals. That's at the 2nd chicane.
All right, let's have a look at the Total replay here. Nathan Hearn. Let's see what transpires here.
Oh dear.
It's just offloaded.
Niels Langeveld looks like may have been into the back of the young Trans Am gun.
That's a bit unfortunate there, but even you have a look when they're rejoining going over some of those curbs, they've got to be a little bit careful because that can cause even more damage to their chassis apart from the actual spin or crash.
Big fight back here. That first chicane drama has let Dylan O'Keefe get up into the fight. Here he is, 5th spot in car 33. Ben McMillan in the Michelin entry, car 39, diving to the inside. But for O'Keefe, he started outside the top 10, so he's had a really good solid start. Although McMillan's down the inside of Parabolica. That is for P5. Through he goes.
I'm really excited to see Ben McMillan up the front and challenging these top guys. He's been super quick over the whole championship, but tonight he seems really comfortable in the F3 car.
Down the front straight, down to the first chicane. A couple of cars rejoining from the pits will make this entertaining stuff, but first chicane awaits, and O'Keefe has got his way back in front in the fight for 5th place. But it's Haber leading the way, half a second clear of Luca Giacca. But remember that we reversed the top 20 for the second race tonight, which will be a half points race. So Nathan Hearn, after that contact, he's back to 20th. There is a chance to recoup something from the night if he can stay around there and move forward in the inversion. As Tom Randall here is on the fight back trail. He's a long way back. He's position 24. He's just gone past Jason Gomersall to try to work his way up the order. And you're looking at the timing screen, and I think you're right. That first corner chicane drama, Garth Tander was P8. He made it through without drama and picked up, what, 10 spots.
And old Wise Head, is that right? Old Wise Head, something like that. I'm not surprised to see him gain some of those positions. One guy though that we haven't really spoken about, John Martin, P3, my teammate at Wall Racing. He's had a shocking run in the touring cars. We're going to check him out right now. But having an absolute stellar run tonight in the F3 car.
Huge amounts of experience in open wheelers for Johnny Martin in British Formula 3. Of course, these cars are the Dallara Formula 3 cars, so there's a range of drivers who have driven, maybe not this exact generation of Dallara, but they've all really evolved along the years. Hearing through from Virtual Race Control TD that Neil Langeveld is going to pick up a 30-second time penalty for that contact with Nathan Hearn, and in fact, here he is serving.
That's gonna ruin his race, unfortunately. But unfortunately, when you make a little blunder and wreck someone else's race, you got to pay that little bit of a penalty. Dylan O'Keefe, though, he's having a great run up into P4. As we mentioned, just got around Ben McMillan, and he's on a charge to the front guys there. So let's see what his pace is like compared to Johnny Martin, whether he can catch him and get around him before the end of the race. But there is quite a margin there to John Martin.
I was trying to slip in a Monza fastback, but I don't think we've got time because there's a good fight here between Gomersall, Randall and Jaden Ransley, who's recovering from that spin at the first chicane on lap 1. Randall down the inside, a Parabolic are on board with the young Kiwi in the Track Tech Racing car. Look at it push out wide towards the exit of Parabolic, and now he's chasing the slipstream to go to top gear. They will hit rev limiter when they've got this much tow on the run down the front straight.
And you could just see him pushing wide through the last corner there, just losing the aero balance at the front of the car, which just unweights the front tyre, and he just couldn't quite hold his line that he'd like to there. Really tight fight here for this position. This is where it's crucial to get a nice exit out of here so you can get a run on the guy in front, leading into the second chicane.
Monza fastback TD.
Here we go.
Australian has ever won the Italian Formula 1 Grand Prix at Monza.
No?
Nope. Mark Webber's best, third. Jack Brabham's best, second. Alan Jones's best, second. Daniel Ricciardo's best, fourth.
Oh, maybe Daniel Rick this year. Oh,
that was close. Gomersall over the curb on the exit. Did a good job there not to take anyone out on the rejoin, but I reckon he's damaged that car and he is limping now. He's got big problems. The unit number 35 car. Of course, Jason is an integral part. He's co-owner and investor in Matt Stone Racing. You can see it's damaged the left rear. Looks like it's got a puncture on that. Oh, no, right rear. On the hand cook is cooked.
Very well put there. Yeah, unfortunately, he's got a flat tyre there. He's going to have to limp around to get himself back to pit lane. Garth Tander, though, he's having a big battle here with
Look at this.
Timmy McReynolds, who is John Martin's pit crew.
Well, they're both going
and he
well
can drive bloody good. So let's see if he can hold off Garth Tander. I don't reckon he would have thought he'd be racing against a Bathurst champion tonight and showing him how it's done. Very good on the sim, Timmy.
12 minutes to go in this first race, and this is the fight for 6th and 7th with Tim Macro just behind Garth Tander in that orange number 23 car at the back of shot as they work their way through the second Lesmos onto the back. I said Lesmos, I meant Lesmos.
You know the corner names better than I do, I tell you. You got all these facts right in front of you, about 3 pages worth.
It's late at night. Let's have a look at the Total replay here. Jaden Ransley in the tow on the run down towards the first chicane, popping out to the left. And Tom Randall saying, no, you're not having that spot. Now they managed to race on. Hey, Ash Sutton, the series leader, is up to 15th. He is mounting a fight back, TD. Here he is, Panther Fuel 116 car, former British touring car champion. He has hogged some trophies in the last few weeks of this
certainly
series.
has.
But reverse top 20 for the next race,
Yep.
he might end up with one at the end of the night.
Yeah, I mean, he's been such a consistent performer. He looks so comfortable in the Audi touring car, but he doesn't quite look as comfortable tonight in the F3 car. Maybe just qualifying didn't go to plan, maybe he didn't get a slipstream, but he's got quite a job ahead of him tonight to get himself back up into contention for that podium position and keep his championship alive. It only takes one round of a couple of bad races to suddenly be under pressure from the next guy in the championship, especially when Harley Haber is having a great run there leading the race.
Oh, not the commentary curse. You could have done it again. You've done it for the last 3 weeks in a row to people. Don't say nice things about people and it's okay, because nothing bad can happen. James Golding here, Valvoline number 31. Of course, S5000 racer these days. And S5000, what a great addition to the Australian motorsport calendar that category has been. It really got people buzzing a few years ago when that whole concept came together and when the field took off at Sandown in September last year with James Golding in the field, Rubens Barrichello came to have a run, Tim Macro, Matty Brabham, Alex Davison. And then, of course, the follow-up at the Bend. Sadly, at Albert Park, we didn't get to see the cars for longer than the first day of practice with Giancarlo Fisichella at the wheel. I think it's got a lot of people excited. So the open-wheeler fans out there, all's not done. There's something that's, when we get car racing going again this year with the Shannon's Motorsport Australia Nationals, can't wait to see those cars in action again.
Yeah,
particularly at Bathurst.
Very much looking forward to that. We actually spoke with Alan Jones on our podcast, Parked Up. There's a little plug there.
It's a new podcast. You should tune in.
Yes, please do. We spoke to Alan Jones, who was actually at the Grand Prix, the trophy. He was like an ambassador for the championship. And he couldn't speak highly enough of S5000. He loves it. He obviously comes from an open wheel background. But he said if you want to get to Formula One, those are the sort of cars you need to get in, not V8 supercars or anything like that. So he's really excited about it, as you're saying, a lot of other people are. Let's have a look at this replay here. Ash Sutton, he's crashed into the fence there and he's got a wheel hanging off. Let's check out how that happened. All right, we've got Dylan O'Keefe on the line, I think.
Yep, I've got you there, Tony.
Hey, buddy, how you going out there?
Yeah, not too bad. Just circulating, I guess, cruising around. How you going in the comment box?
Yeah, a bit better tonight, mate. We're having a bit better tonight.
Hey, I can make the night better for you, Dylan. Ash Sutton's just had a crash off the road. That's going to cost him a serious amount of points.
I know, I heard you guys saying that.
Chase.
I know, and then I almost sprayed it because I heard that next.
You got excited, did you?
But yeah, just had a good start, and I was trying to be nice and conservative into turn one. And I had a really good launch. I thought, screw this, I'm going to be aggressive. And then Randall took out Golding, and I think I got through it pretty well. So happy about that, because these cars can't take much damage. So pretty happy to get through, and now I'm just circulating, trying to get some points.
Did I see somewhere on socials this week that you went and got a haircut especially for tonight? You know we can't see you to see what you look like or how good your haircut is.
You never know if you get an interview.
Yeah, but before every race, you always got to have a haircut. You got to look nice and crisp. Even you got a haircut.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just part of the routine, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's okay, it's a fresh feeling. Righto, get on with it. You've got a bit of drama here because you've got a bit of action to take care of here. A bit of pressure at the first chicane, so all the best.
All right, cheers. I'll talk to you guys a bit later.
See you, mate.
We made it through a cross without a driver going off the road. Look at us go. Here's Barton Moore in the 27 car. It's very familiar to see Barton in number 27 Formula 3 car, but Nathan Hearn's on the fight back trail. He's got a good run down towards the Parabolica. He'll have him clear before they get there. And he's finding his way back, Nathan Hearn, but he's still in that spot for the inversion. That gets him 20th. That's like a golden ticket to pole position for the next race. Barton Moore, 21st, stay 23rd. Not a golden ticket.
You'd be spewing, honestly. You'd be hoping that somebody would obviously crash out and you'd get back in that top 20 so you can have a chance for race 2. We're down to the last 6.5 minutes of this race, so we've still got a little bit to go to try and sort of that grid for race 2. And unfortunately, Ash Sutton hasn't had the race that we thought he might.
29th at the moment. He's going to try to just recoup whatever he can in terms of the points. We will... Hey, do we get to reveal later in the night where we're racing next week and what sort of cars? You've got to stay tuned.
I think it's secret. I think it's secret.
It's a secret, but we will reveal it before the end of the telecast tonight, so you know what you're getting in 7 nights' time when we have the next round of the Car Sales ARG eSport Cup. Riding here with Tom Randall in the ACT Fence Hire car. I tell you what, Captain Tom set up a sim business.
Yeah.
Lee Holdsworth. Got
He's
it
had a
all
big
going
year.
on. I'm not sure how he's got time to do all the things that he does, because he's one of the busiest guys that I know. I'm tired just hearing about it because he's unbelievably busy. He's had so much going on with his health and with the racing, and it's hard to keep up with. Well, he's got a problem here though, because he's got a serious slipstream coming down the outside, trying to get through. Jaden Ransley.
Oh
No!
I think he's lived it there. Yep.
Yeah. Oh boy, don't
See,
back it up
commentators curse Nunes.
Yep.
That was all on you.
Yep, 1-1, and he manages to get going, and no one makes contact at the Ascari chicane. He gets away with it. Total replay will tell us a little more.
So he was forced on the inside there, and he clipped that inside curb. Unsettled the car, and around it went. It's easy as that in these cars. They don't like curbs whatsoever. And he's just brushed the wall trying to do a flick spin as well. So hopefully no damage, and he can get on his way and not lose too many spots there. Hopefully the car isn't damaged. Let's have a look here. Jaden Ransley having another crack.
Yeah, moving forward here. That's Nathan Byrne in front with Aaron Seaton in the fluoro yellow car, just there. Of course, Trans Am driver these days works at DJRT Penske during the week, and
He does.
has been a young gun in the Toyota 86 racing series. He's done a bit of everything. He's won his class at the Bathurst 12 hour. He's a very accomplished young driver who's had a go at just about everything. Speedway, he started in Speedway for point of view of getting good car control, and he certainly got it. It doesn't hurt when you're a great third generation driver and it's kind of independent.
I was going to say, he's got some of the best coaches in the country guiding him through the motorsport maze, and it's very, very tricky at times. The different categories you can sort of go down and trying to work your way to the top of motorsport.
Hey, this guy's going well, TD. Braden Wilmington sits in 11th position at the moment. This is pretty much the highest we've seen him run in this Car Sales ARG eSport Cup. He's behind Aaron Cameron, who's been off the radar tonight. We haven't spoken about Aaron until now, but he's been pretty consistent and quiet, out of trouble. Tom Alexander in the background of the shot just before and sits in position 12. Then Nathan Morecambe, Chelsea Angelo, Tim Brooks 15th. But at the moment, Tom Randall's now 20th, so he'll have pole for the next race if it stays like that with 3.5 minutes on the clock. Haber and Giacomin are still the form drivers out in front. They are 10 seconds clear of John Martin in third spot, so they are the class of the field. So no real shock from the practice times that were going on earlier in the evening, and they broke the slipstream. It did help that about 34 cars were broken at the first chicane, but they've managed to get away. I think they would have done that anyway had we not had that problem where half the field was banked up behind the accident.
Yeah, especially when you look at their lap times, they're considerably faster than the other cars around them. So they've been able to disappear into the distance. But bear in mind, Nunes, when you get damage on these cars, let's say you damage the front wing, you can lose up to 15 k's an hour in a straight line. So that's a huge deficit to try and make up, and you're just not going to be able to do it around a circuit like this, which is such a long straight of a circuit where you're under full gas for a long time. So those guys have got clean cars and pumping out really, really quick lap times.
Time for another Monza fact.
We've only got a couple minutes to go, quickly.
Really, really, really fast. What year were you born?
85.
So 2 years later, a Holden won the first ever round of the World Touring Car Championship at Monza. Alan Moffat, John Harvey,
There you go.
Hey, Total replay here. Nathan Morecambe, the HMO customer racing car. I sense. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Running wide. I wasn't thinking that wide, but that'll cost him plenty of time on the runoff, I should say, turn 5.
Only lost one spot there, so not too bad. Chelsea Angelo in the Astron Tech F3 entry. She's done a lot of F3 racing over her time, and very, very good young driver in the open wheeler category.
It's done a bit of everything really now.
Yep.
Porsches, TCR, a little bit of time in the development series supercars as well. Sitting in 13th in the number 2 Astron Tech car as we reel off another lap. Minute and 40 to go in this first race with the reverse top 20 to come. Jordan Cox here, P9 in car 6. haven't seen much of him in this race. His GRM stablemate, Aaron Cameron, at least has been very kind and has hung out with him on the track for the majority of this race and kept him good company. Of course, Aaron Cameron third in last year's carsales TCR Australia Series. He's driving this year with GRM on board one of their Peugeots and was one of the real young stars of last year's TCR Australia Series, given an opportunity to get on a platform where he could compete against guys like your good self and Garth Tander and John Martin and Will Brown and a whole pile of drivers with great resumes and reputations, and put himself up there with them, and it's now got him this great opportunity with GRM this year.
He was certainly a standout last year in the championship. A good young kid as well. He drives really hard, and when you're racing against him, he's very fair as well. A couple of guys we haven't really mentioned too much tonight is Nick Carroll. Nick Carroll, George Mediki, they're down the order a little bit, and we haven't seen a huge amount of them. So they're sort of struggling a little bit more than what they'd like. On
Are you controlling the production tonight? Because you speak of someone and they appeared on our television screen.
He's having a crack here.
He's in the toe.
He's going to have a go. No,
not close enough.
James Golding, is James Golding just ahead? Yep.
It's James Golding's a dark blue Golding car, is he not? Or have they swapped deliveries this week?
I'm not too sure, but look on the screen there, it says James Golding just ahead of George Mediki.
Either way. Car around the background.
Last lap.
Oh, Michael Clemente has turned it in circle. Hey, if you get a spin, may as well get yourself some.
Make it big.
Harley Haver's the man, though. The Kumo car, number 21. He's got a controlling margin over Luca Giacomin. He's on his run home to the checkered flag, so he will score his second win from the last 3 races. So jumps from the Audi touring car last week at Watkins Glen into the Dallara Formula 3 car at Monza. He's going to get the job done. The kid is good. Final turn. Parabolica coming to the checkered flag. The first race in this round tonight of the carsales ARG eSport Cup will go to Harley Haver. Dominant, strong drives from he and the runner-up Luca Giacomin to the line. They are miles in front of the rest. 13 seconds, in fact. That was a real beating. John Martin third in the Wall Racing 24 entry, some 12 or 13 seconds behind on the road. Dylan O'Keefe in fourth. Ben McMallen due to come home in fifth. Here is Niels Langeveld, the Dutch driver who had the penalty earlier on for the contact with Nathan Hernan. How's this? He's 20th, Tony. He stands to take pole position for the second race.
I reckon he set that up perfectly.
Good stuff, good stuff. Hey, let's have a chat to our winner, Harley Haver. Great job, mate. We talked to you last week with the win in the touring car. We took the roof off, we took the fenders off, and you still won.
Thanks, guys. It's a pretty cool combination here at Monza with these open wheelers. Obviously, first time in the championship that we're using them, but yeah, really quite cool to step into something new and be at the top once again.
Nice job in that race there. You start to really show your full championship. Now, I think if you take any more wins, do you reckon you'll get your helmet painted at least?
Is it white on the broadcast?
Yeah, it's white. Yeah.
I've got the Senna helmet on. I've got the Senna helmet on, bro. So it matches this livery very well.
Nice job there in that first race. You got a bit of work to do though in race 2, starting at P20.
Yes. So I'm just hope I don't get shunted into turn 1. And if we make it out all cleanly and we survive, then happy days. But obviously, another great result. Good to get some more championship points back.
Well, we won't be showing you the replay of what happened in the chicane behind you in that race because you probably will not like the potential of what could happen in race 2. Hey, we'll let you go and get ready for the last race. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks, guys.
Let's have a chat to James Golding, who has been behind the wheel of the Valvoline 31 car. Beebs, you got me there, mate?
Go ya.
Hey, mate, P24, what was going on in that race for you in the Valvoline car?
Look, I'll tell ya real quick, so I'm about to watch the replay of the start. I'm pretty sure. Here we go, heading into turn 1. I was all daisies, had a reasonable start. On the inside, outside for 2. So yeah, Randall's looks like he's lost it out of 1. Spun right, and there was a car on his left, and I was on his right, and he's clipped my rear, and then she's all gone south from there. So a bit unfortunate, but we've got another race to turn around.
All right, mate. We'll let you get ready for that one, starting P24, and you can go and hunt a few of them down on the long straights of Monza.
Yeah, I might just cut through that first chicane and cop a penalty rather than getting involved in the crash.
It's probably
There we
safer
go.
for your wishbones, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's right. All right, take it easy, guys.
Good luck.
Good to chat. There he is, James
Cheers.
Golding, driver of the 31 Valvoline machine. Let's recap the results from the first race tonight in the carsales ARG eSport Cup from Monza using the Dallara F3 cars. Harley Haber, the winner, from Luca Giacomin. John Martin, third, from Dylan O'Keefe. Then Ben McMillan, Timothy McReynolds. You've got to get his full name in because that's how it needs to be done. Garth Tander, seventh, from Tim Macro. Then Jordan Cox and Aaron Cameron rounded out the top 10. We'll take a short break here. Thanks for tuning in. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us. The final race is coming up very, very soon with this round from Monza of the carsales ARG eSport Cup. Back in a sec.
Oh, hello there. I'm Jean-Michel Courtois, director of the Total Engine Oil Research Center. And you're here to discover our secrets, aren't you? Well, follow me. Let me show you what we do here. Ladies, gentlemen, ready? Let's push Total Quartz engine oil to its limits under the extreme conditions of motorsports. Amazing performance. Good job, team. The track is our lab. Total Quartz.
This is how I'd sell a car. Proper marketing. Oh, put effort into your photos. Value your car appropriately. Like $500, I don't know, take it. I hate it. It's got beautiful signalers. You can put CDs in there. The right pedal goes all the way down. And it's got, it's a gear shift. And it's a stick shift. Sold. Wait, shouldn't this be in the car?
Of the carsales ARG eSport Cup. If you're just joining us, you missed a really good first race. We're going to reverse the top 20 finishes for this one. Half points this race, Tony Delberto, and we have taken the 20th place car, put it at pole position, taken the race winner, Harley Haber, and put him into P20. What could possibly go wrong?
Especially when you got a first gear chicane as your first corner after the start of the race. So there's going to be carnage. We saw that in race one. The only thing is now the drivers have probably got a heads up what to expect going into this second race. But I love this style of racing, the reverse top 20. We'll see if we can get a surprise winner and a new winner to the championship.
We should point out too that the weather for tonight's round is locked in, so there's no changeable conditions for them to have to deal with for the races. So it's a cool weather condition, partly cloudy afternoon that the cars are running in. So you see
It's
some of those
lovely.
shadows. It's just, I'm not wearing a jacket. It feels quite nice. Hey, let's go to the Gold Coast and chat to Aaron Seaton. You are doing a great job wearing those race suits, my friend. You've done it again. How'd you go in your F3 car debut?
Yeah, it's been interesting. It's quite different being a rear-wheel drive car compared to the front-wheel drive TCR. So I'm really enjoying the high aero and a different car to drive.
Is that dad of yours any help, considering I think he did, one Formula 2 race in about 1988? He did win it, but his open-wheeler pedigree's not good.
Yeah, no, he did go 1 from 1, so he would
He's
have been
100% then.
He's 100%, but unfortunately he's not big into sim racing, so he's more of the playing with real race cars. But no, I'm really enjoying it, and I think he's gonna enjoy. Hopefully, we've got a new steering wheel and pedals coming, so I'm looking forward to trying out that.
Spending up big. What have you got coming, mate? Oh yeah, nice. Well, that hopefully give you a bit better feel.
Definitely, I'm looking forward to trying the direct drive wheel. Obviously, they get a lot more feedback, so I can't wait.
Yeah, good job. Okay, so this second race here, you're in the hot spot, so we want to try and see you finish off with a podium would be fantastic.
Yeah, obviously with that race, but the first corner was a bit of a carnage, so try and make it through there and see how we go after that. Have some fun.
You're the king of understatement. Bit of carnage. I reckon there was a whole truckload of Dallara parts spread across the first chicane. Hey, we'll let you go and get ready for this final race. Good to chat.
Cheers, guys.
There he is, Aaron Seaton. Let's head to another part of Queensland, to Toowoomba. Will Brown, are you there, my friend?
I am here, guys.
How'd you go in race 1? We didn't get to see a whole pile of you.
Well, right now I've got to go to the most concerning issues. I'm driving around with no wheels on my car. The wheels are
wheels on the screen?
No, there's no wheels on my screen. I've only got rotors. That's all I got. So I've got some big dramas right now.
Oh, you're saving all the tyres for the race, mate.
Well, somebody said in my Twitch, because I've had so many crashes, I've run out of tyre allocation, which is probably true. So all I got is rotors. That's all I can see.
Oh dear. Well, we're seeing your car on screen, and it has got tyres on it, so you will still have to pay your hand-cooked tyre bill.
Bugger.
Hey, you enjoying it? Because I think you've sort of been hot or cold in this sim stuff lately, but you're starting to get the hang of this.
Yeah, it's just how many hours you put in for it. I probably didn't do enough practicing for tonight, but I wasn't going too bad. I qualified 11th or 10th, and I was up to 6th, but I got a slow down at turn 1, and I probably slowed up a little bit too much trying to keep the guys behind me and got in a bit of a bust up. We all crashed into each other, so yeah, that was my fault. I'll put my hand up for that one.
All right, mate. We'll let you go. Go find some tyres.
I will. Thank you.
Will Brown. Hey, let's go and have a chat to George Mediki in the number 5 red machine. You there, my friend?
Yeah, I'm here, mate.
Hello, buddy. Nice to chat to you. How'd you go in race 1?
It's good to hear your voice. Look, mate, I had it all. I've got it running a Fanatic wheel with the McLaren rim, and it's actually got a clutch bite pedal, and I thought I had it nailed, mate. Hooked up and then lit the tyres up and ended up hanging out of the pit wall. So
that was you. Yeah, that's right. We saw a car spearing in the background. That was you.
Oh, mate, I did so much practice too. I had them dialed and it's just lit up and spat me into the fence. So now look, I came back out and I was running sort of with the guys who were 9th and 10th, and they were sort of holding me up, which was good. So I'm gonna have to see if I can come through from 25th or whatever I am for the next one.
Hey, this is a bit different to that Trans Am that you were handling around the streets of Adelaide, huh?
Yeah, it's awesome though. It's cool to get out with. Like the best thing is how stacked the field is. You know, quality drivers, and you really gotta dig deep. You know, like when you do a lap time that's worth the top 10. You know you're after it, getting after it. So, no, I'm having a blast, mate, and it's good to take the mind off everything else that's going on at the moment and work out some aggression on the sim.
Yeah, sounds good. Not too much aggression. Take it steady. We'll catch up with you later. Good to chat.
Thanks, legend. See ya.
There he is, George Mediki, whose old man Andrew, open wheeler driver, could steer a Wings and Slicks car for sure. Was a superstar in the 80s when it came to Formula Pacific and the like. So we're getting ready for the second race from Monza in this round of the carsales ARG eSport Cup, wherever you're watching. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. We've got viewers right around the world tonight. I'm Aaron Noonan, the guy standing about 1.7 metres away from me is Tony D'Alberto as we take a look at the starting grid for this race, TD. And Niels Langeveld, the Dutchman, will start from pole in the Track Tech car. Pinged a penalty in race 1 for contact with Nathan Hearn, put him back in the order, but he's got back to the front because of the inversion.
Yeah, he's Barton Moore right beside him there in P2. Thomas Randall in P3, who we're hoping is going to have a much smoother race. Aaron Seaton, who we just spoke to, and Nathan Walkham. Here we go, and the race is underway down into turn 1. Let's see what carnage can unfold.
We didn't get everybody through the first chicane in the first race. Let's see how they go in the second. They're all off and rolling. 43 cars on the run to the first chicane at Monza, and they funnel on through. Can they all make it through? No. No and no. Plenty of...
I think there's actually more carnage there than race 1, Noons, and it's still continuing on the background.
But there were some smart drivers there who knew there was going to be a shunt, so they went to the escape road. And look at this, cars stuck on top of one another, and that is Dylan O'Keefe, 4th in the points coming into tonight. He is at the tail of the field. That will sting.
I think this might call for a bit of a safety
drama
car.
here. That's Giacomin, the runner-up in race 1 involved. That's the second chicane. Oh boy, I thought everyone got their aggression out in the first race, but they seem to have a little bit left up. Tim Brooks in drama as well. Back to the front, Tom Randall, 2nd spot in the tow on Langeveld and going for the lead down at the Ascari chicane.
I'd love to see a replay of that incident at turn 1 there. On board now with Randall, I believe.
I believe so. He's in the tow, chasing the Dutchman. Niels Langeveld. He's chasing him all across the road. The run to the Parabolica. Nathan Hearn sits in 3rd. Then it's Barton Moore. Then it's Aaron Seaton. But the end of the first lap, 20-minute race for this second race. It's a half-points race because of the grid inversion. But that will not slow them down. Randall's in the tow, trying to chase the Track Tech car across the road. He is up against the pit wall. He's tucking to that inside line. If he stays there, he'll end up on the famous Monza banking. He's that tight to the wall, but he will hug the inside line. Randall will not be able to get by at the first chicane, and Nathan Hearn gets himself up into the mix and, importantly, into that slipstream zone.
Yeah, Randall there lit the rears up. Got Nathan Hearn on board now. It was a braking duel down to turn 1, and you see the slipstream now. Nathan's making good ground on Thomas, but he can't really go anywhere. The thing that interests me, though, how many times can you move on the straight? Is there a
63
limit?
by what I saw then. And I tell you what, there are penalties given in the aftermath of these races, and from memory of the report I saw during the week, Langeveld may have got himself 1 or 2 of those for a similar scenario last week.
He's certainly making it hard for Thomas to even commit to a line, which is generally frowned upon. You can block and make it a little bit difficult, but when you're chasing the car down the road trying to basically keep him from coming past, it's generally frowned upon. So we'll see what happens there, but Nathan Hearn there has got a great slipstream on Thomas Randall.
But he's not close enough. He can't get it done at the Ascari chicane. It's all about getting the exit here. It's the 4th gear chicane. Uses all the curve on the exit there on the run towards the Parabolica. But Langeveld has managed to get his way clear. He's broken that slipstream and left Randall to fight with Hearn. Fight behind. Jaden Ransley, Barton Moore and Aaron Seaton are in the next battle pack. Here they are. Not far away. Because Barton Moore, so much experience in F3 cars in Australia, in Britain.
World Time Attack cars, TCR,
Porsche Carrera Cup.
The list just goes on and on and on for that bloke.
Just about everything. And now he's hunting for another position. End of lap 1. A couple of cars that were damaged in the opening stages of the race coming back out of the pit lane. If you don't really follow virtual sim racing, in the case of cars that have had crashes and accidents, around goes Barton Moore. Got stuck right in behind Tom Randall and Luke that manages to clear the area. But I was going to say that the cars get reset to the pit lane and can rejoin the race. But of course they've done so much time that they are just not a factor. Our race 1 winner, Harley Haber, is now position 6.
He's on fire to make all those positions. He's done a great job to get through those opening laps unscathed with no damage, and he find himself in that top 6 already.
Behind him on the road is Ash Sutton, the championship leader coming into tonight, who's fighting back from a tough first race and qualifying. Here he is, the Panther Fuel 116. if you've just joined us, he has been a dominator in the last few weeks, winning races from his home in the UK. Former British touring car champ, has been to Australia before and had a little go in a supercar with Walkinshaw Andretti United in recent years. Worked with Carl Foe from WAU in the BTCC, so there's a bit of a link there. This is a good fight here. Look at this. This is on for young and old. Luca Giacomin in the Valvoline number 7 car is going hunting. Oh, this is tight. This has got drama written all over it. Tim Macro up in front, and I've been sent some super stats from the great Richard Crale, who of course has so much experience with the coverage of the Australian Formula 3 Series. Don't forget that Tim's a 2-time Gold Star winner, 3-time Australian F3 champ, 48 wins, 28 poles from 100 Australian Formula 3 starts.
Not bad.
They are good numbers, but they're not helping him a single cracker here right now because they are not going to mean that the other guys will give him an inch. He is really in one heck of a fight. Back with Randall here. Second spot, Nathan Hearn chasing in the Gulf Western Oil car. They're at the chicane at turn 1. Here's Aaron Seaton, who now has Harley Haber to contend with in the fight for P5 and P6.
So he's in the slipstream there, so let's see if he can have a bit of a run up into the second chicane.
Bit of a run.
Here we go.
He's got a fair run and he's got the inside now.
Cito made that a bit easy, I reckon.
Oh, not over yet, not over yet. Seaton can fight here because there is... No, can't get it done. He couldn't stay quite far enough around the outside, so he slots back a spot. Haber from 20th on the grid is now P5. Here's Will Brown, car number 1. He's got the number 1 because he's the reigning car sales TCR Australia Series champ. He runs in 16th place, battling with Jonathan Bykoff and Peter Hurd. Barton Moore recovering, who's just in front of them on the road. So they're in the mid-pack of the teams, but staying out of trouble so far.
Timmy McReynolds is having quite a good race there from Wall Racing, one of the lead mechanics of the Wall Racing team, but he's got himself back up into position 8, which is a great job after he had a strong race 1 as well. So he's right in the hunt for some good points this round.
Bykoff getting a move there and moving up a spot on Barton Moore. And now Will Brown trying to get the long way around as they work their way towards the Ascari chicane. That was tight. Got it done. Pops out the other side, of course. Will Brown teaming up with David Reynolds this year for Penrite Racing in the Supercars Enduros, planning on being back to defend his number 1 in the HMO Customer Racing Hyundai team. And now it's a slipstream fight on the run to the Parabolica with just under 13 minutes to go in this second race. Thanks for joining us wherever you're watching around the world. It's great that we can go racing, albeit virtually, but I know that for those who probably haven't followed or watched much virtual racing, they're getting their motor racing fix at the moment. So it's great that we can bring you some form of racing. We've got drivers competing from their homes, from workshops all around Australia, New Zealand and overseas as well. It's a fantastic thing. I mean, 10 or 15 years ago or 20 years ago, if you said we could do this, everyone would have looked at you like you had 3 heads. How on earth can you do that? It's amazing what technology can do and bring the motor racing community together, and we can go and put on a car race, talk about it and have a good night of fun.
Yeah, I'm certainly getting into it myself. I'm trying to build up my sim at home as well, so I can.
But the question
actually
is, get into it rather than just talk about it.
No, I'm too scared. What's this replay here? Let's check it out.
Total replay here on the exit of Parabolica. Oh, we actually cut back to the chicane, cut back to the Parabolica. It's not cutting up here. And this is Nathan Hearn. He's going to get a big toe. He's got a toe strap here. He's going to hook it on the back of Tom Randall in this fight for second spot. And Tom knows it too because he's already starting to move around and try to break the toe. But it's too late because the Gulf Western Oils car is in the toe. It's down the inside. He's got the move done. That's for second place with the leader there, Niels Jankeveld, the Dutch driver, just in front in the Track Tech number 10. That was the Total replay as we rejoin the live action. Just over 11 minutes on the clock. They're in the fight here. Langeveld, he's broken the toe. But one mistake, they get it back.
Yeah, these guys are battling pretty hard though. I think Randall actually sort of let him go a little bit. You know, it's probably not the with so much slipstreaming going on, you probably don't want to be leading the race coming into that last lap if you're close enough. So these guys are trying to work together to try and get a little bit close to Langeveld.
It's very unnatural for racing drivers to work together. But now they have to, because on their own, together they're better, on their own they're not as good to try to catch the car up front. So this is the top 3. 4th is Jaden Ransley. Harley Haber next in 5th from Tim McReynolds. Then Golding, Seaton, Sutton And Ricky Capo rounds out the top 10 as they sit at the moment with 10.5 minutes to go in the second race of the carsales ARG eSport Cup. We're racing on the famous Monza circuit tonight, the home of the Italian Grand Prix, and we're getting to chat to plenty of our drivers who are in action tonight. We might have a chat to Astron Tech driver of car number 2. She's on our screen now, Chelsea Angelo, in 24th, but you've just passed a few cars parked in the Parabolica gravel. You've picked up a couple of easy spots there.
Sorry, what was that? I couldn't quite get that.
I built that up really well. There were some cars in the gravel at Parabolica, and you just picked up a couple of cheap spots. They're the best ones to get.
Yeah, I know. I mean, like, I got like a good start, but just cold tyres, and yeah, we just made a driver. Well, I made a driver error, and car turned around, so now I'm just making my way back through the field.
Hang on, Chelsea. Did you just say you made an error? You are not a real racing driver if you admit something.
Never.
I know.
Don't ever call yourself a racing driver ever again, Chelsea. That's like the first rule in the book.
Hey,
Never,
at least I'm
never
honest.
admit to it.
At least I'm honest with myself. So.
Look, to be honest, we don't need to even see that little mistake. We were talking about how you're making up positions. So going forward in the race, which is quite good. Are you enjoying the F3 this week?
Yeah, no, I'm really enjoying it. I mean, it's a lot more different to a TCR car, obviously. So. Yeah, no, I'm enjoying it. I mean, I'm having a lot of fun. I'm in some of the other chats with the other boys, so they all make it good fun.
We'll let you go back to those chats. Good luck, P23.
Thanks, guys.
Let's go to the front of the field. Nathan Hearn's in a big fight with Tom Randall for second spot, and he joins us on the line. How are you going to work with Tom Randall here to catch the leader?
We're trying hard. We're swapping the position every time we get down the straight, you know, trying to use the slipstream to our advantage, but yeah, Niels has got a lot of pace behind him. Obviously, as they just run a bit wide there, as well as that with the aero wash. The aero wash is massive in these cars. So Tom, we lose about half a second to each other around that section of the track, and we've got to work back up, try and catch it down the straight. So, I don't know, we're giving it a red hot crack, but that's all we can do at the moment.
Hey, race 1, the leader of the race made contact with your car.
Yeah, I'm well aware of that, yeah.
Yeah, so what happens if you get to him in this one?
No, I'll keep it clean. You got to race fair. I don't think it was intentional. Making contact at the back of me, I don't think he done it on purpose. Well, I hope he didn't. But yeah, if I get up to him, I'm just happy to have a clean race, and you know, I'm happy to sit in second place because obviously I'm fighting for the championship. Last race, I said to him I would have let him pass, but yeah, obviously he made contact. So I'm happy to sit in second place or in fourth place or whatever place, as long as he can get some championship points. So last race is definitely less than ideal for me.
Just quickly too, mate, I know you've been doing a bit of Trans Am racing. Just quickly tell us about that and how much you've enjoyed it as you're in this fight. I know you're in this fight, we'll get out of it quickly, but for those who haven't seen the Trans Am stuff at Adelaide, we saw it's been a great start to the series in the category.
Yeah, definitely. It's massive for Trans Am, obviously, formerly known as TA2. Last year was TA2 and Trans Am's first year as a national series, and we didn't really get too much coverage. So for this year to join ARG and race at events like the Shannon's Nationals with the with TCR and S5000, all these great categories, it's good to boost the popularity of Trans Am, because it is a really good formula, but unfortunately no one knows about it yet. So it's coming to Australia soon, and yeah, one day I reckon it'll be one of the biggest categories in Australia.
All right, we'll let you keep flying the flag for the Trans Am teams, because you're right in the mix here. We'll get out of this one. All the best.
All right, thank you. Cheers.
There he is, Nathan Hearn, sitting third spot in the Gulf Western Oil car, and he's towing his way around behind Tom Randall in the hunt for the leader, Niels Jandeveld, who is just a little bit further down the road. Lap car gets out of the way and lets the top three get on with their fight as they run through the Ascari chicane. 6.5 minutes on the clock, TD. That is Gartander, who is getting out of the way. He's 32nd and a lap down, and been around and done this before. When you're having those bad days, there's no point trying to make someone else's good day become part of your bad day. Steps out of the way and lets them get on with it.
I think I just saw him step into his car in the car park and leave the race. I think his engineers jumped in to finish it off, but yeah, unfortunately not having a very good race too. Mike Sinclair back in 29th from carsales. We should give him a little bit of a mention. He's been given it a red hot crack, hasn't he? He's probably someone that hasn't actually spent a lot of time in a simulator or in a race car. He does some XL racing, but it's great to see him week after week improving.
And he's in a bit of a fight here too, working his way on the run down the back straight with, I think that's Ben McMillan. Well, actually, Ben McMillan's the car that he's trying to hunt down. Who was a little further down the road.
Oh, I think
boy,
it's
we cut to the replay just at the point where there was about to be a runner going there. Total replay. Will Brown here with Aaron seated on the run to the Parabolica.
You know what I'd love to see, Noons? I'd love to see an onboard lap.
Whoa, Will
Maybe
Brown.
after we see a replay of that one, but an onboard lap to actually see what an F3 car's like around Monza.
You just want to take a minute 43 off commentary, don't you?
No, I'll commentate, don't you worry, but it'd just be great to see from a driver's point of view.
Here you go. You wish. Here you go.
All right. Getting past Randall there into the back chicane there. That's a 4th gear corner, flat out from the right-hander. Use all the track on the exit. Try and get the best run you can heading down to the last corner. 6th gear quite early there, and again he's breaking the toe for Randall, and those guys are working together really, really well. But
it's not helping.
It's not helping, is it?
Langeville's got away. 3 seconds is the margin TD with 4.5 minutes on the clock in this final race, and as Nathan Hearn said when we spoke to him before, he's not going to really fight here because he's in the box seat to pick up bulk points. Came into tonight second in the series behind Ash Sutton, who finished nowhere special race 1. At the moment runs in 17th. So Nathan Hearn, the way he was speaking before, playing the long game here, there's no point here doing anything silly with Tom Randall. He's 3rd now because Randall's got by.
These guys are holding themselves up, I reckon, now.
Well, they're not going to catch the leader. Harley Haber's 2 seconds away behind them. So really, if he finishes 3rd, 4th, I mean, he doesn't want to let Haber through because he's a contender for the series as well. But Tom Randall's not really in the points fight, so no point in worrying about him. It's more a case of worrying about Harley Haber, who's closing in, because these two actually aren't helping one another make speed.
Yeah, Harley Haber is the guy to watch now. He's on a mission, and he's super aggressive out there. He's hungry just for results. He's not being conservative like Nathan Hearn has just spoken about.
And you can see there on the exit of the second Lesmo corner on the run down underneath the bridge, where that's the banking down here, the famous Monza banking that goes across the Grand Prix circuit towards the Ascari chicane. The leader is clearly away and in front, and now the fight for second is a 3-way fight. Harley Haber in that white and red Kumhotai 21. We jump on board with the young gun who's representing the V8 Touring Car Series. Did a round last year, intends to have a run this year. Far off in the background there's that Garth Tander who's run off the road in...
Told you, he's gone home. Gone home.
It's had one of those nights.
So Haber gets that position from Nathan Hearn. He's on an absolute mission. So his next one is Thomas Randall. And I reckon he's got 2.5 minutes to do it. He'll be able to get around him.
Run down, run straight Monza. You've called it. It could be Slipstream Central here, and that's what he gets. Now he makes the really aggressive run to the inside. I think Randall expected him to go the long way, and Haber stuffs it down the inside. He's racing for the title. He's through to P2. Big move from the young gun. We are up and about in the commentary box because I honestly thought, and I think Tom Randall thought, that Haber was going to drift back to the outside because there wasn't room. He made room and got it done.
That was a great move there. He did the little fakie to the left and then dived for the right and still made the corner.
Candy,
yeah,
and it got bought.
Oh,
round.
No, Randall. Around he goes. He'll be absolutely spewing. With 1.5 minutes to go, he's unfortunately knocked himself out of a podium position there. What do you reckon? Do you reckon Haber can hunt down the leader?
Nah, 3.7 seconds.
Oh, he's going pretty fast.
He doesn't have a toe. Let's have a look at this again on the run. Down towards the first chicane. Looking outside, cuts back inside just before the grass arrives. Late under brakes, gets it done, and you'll see on screen that is where we're heading next week. Round 5, we'll stay with the Formula 3 Dalara's TD, but we will head to Barcelona, the home of the Spanish Grand Prix. That's coming up Thursday, April 30, 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Having throwbacks to the days of Nines Wide Motorsports coverage with Big Daz and Alan Jones going through where the next round will be and what time and what race, which Grand Prix. Oh, this is the replay of Randall having that spin in the background.
That was unfortunate, but Haber, what a standout tonight, getting himself back up to P2. We spoke to him before the race, and he was talking about trying to stay out of trouble with that first lap, which he's managed to do.
Well,
Pick
He's
up a
got a
heap
good-
of spots.
He's got a good strategy of staying out of trouble. Go fast and pass people. It works every time.
Yeah, it's a bit easier when you got car speed, but he's obviously used his head there and had a good run through the traffic, which is quite tricky with this online racing. Bit of a battle here, though. Who have we got? We've got a car spun. It's either Morecambe or Will Brown.
It's Will Brown fighting with George Mediki. Positions 10 and 11 is what's up for grabs here between these two as they run down the front straight. We're counting down to the finish of this race. And that is what's lit up in this last run here at Monza.
George Mediki's setting up beautiful there. Got a nice exit. He's going to have the slipstream advantage going into the second chicane here. So he might be able to get a run on Will Brown and get that position back. We spoke to him before the race and he's absolutely loving this online racing, especially with all the stuff that's going on around the world. He's just using this as an opportunity to have a little bit of fun. He's trying to go around the outside of Will Brown. And he's made it work.
Hustle and hustle, but Brown will get the run. The exit of the chicane and chops up the inside and covers that line off.
That was a good little exchange. I thought they were going to collect wheels and there was going to be a bit of a shunt. But they managed to get away with it. We got Niels Langeveld here finishing off and taking the checkered flag.
Gets the job done. He was penalised in race 1. Finished 20th, got the pole, gets the win in race 2 at Monza. And it's a nice margin back to Harley Haber. But a great drive to bring that one home from the front of the grid. The fight will go all the way to the checkered flag here between Will Brown and George Mediki for the final spot in the top 10. And that was a good race. There was plenty going on in that one.
Yeah, especially when Harley Haber was making him way through the field on Nathan Hearn and Thomas Randall. So very, very good race there and great for his championship chance.
Watching Will Brown and George Mediki finish off this second race at Monza. Let's have a chat to our winner. Have you heard the one about the Dutchman driving for the Kiwi team in an F3 car in Italy in an Australian series? Niels Langeveld, congratulations, great job.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Hey, what is it about you Dutch guys in open wheeler race cars? There's some guy called Verstappen in F1 who goes well, and we put you in one of these, and you've gone well too.
Yeah, exactly. Well, to be honest, I needed to get used to the new gaming iRacing, and I trained a lot. And I don't know what's the difference. I just compared to the TCR car, this feels good. I was knowing what I was doing, and yeah, somehow I got quicker and quicker and found the key to be fast in these kind of cars. And yeah, you can't imagine how happy I am. It's like a real race.
It is a real race. You've won it.
Yeah,
here's your trophy. I'm virtually handing it to you down the phone line.
Thank you. And the champagne, please.
Hey, great to have you with us again. You were a wildcard entrant tonight after being in the top 3 yesterday. So congratulations.
Yeah.
Great to have you with us again.
Thank you very much. And hopefully see you next week.
Sounds good. Sounds good. There he is, our winner of race 2 at Monza. Let's have a chat to runner-up Harley Haber, who is collecting some statistics in this series. Not enough there to get to the front, my friend, but you started 20th and you finished 2nd. If we'd said that to you before the race, I'm sure you would have taken it.
It's good to catch you fellas again. Yeah, happy I didn't get absolutely drilled at turn 1. It was a car park though. Like once I got there, everybody was stopped. So yeah, a little bit interesting, but yeah, good to put a move on at the end there on Randall and obviously get 2nd place. So happy with the championship points. Obviously not a great round for some of the other guys as well who are pretty close. So it's all come together.
Don't act like you really care about the other blokes. Having a great run at the moment. You certainly got some pace on board, and that maneuver there with Randall was super special coming down to turn 1.
That was spicy. We love that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I done the same to him at Watkins into the carousel, so I thought I'd just try new car, new track, same competitor. But no, look, I had to put on a bit of a show, obviously, towards the end, hunted the boys down, and I probably didn't have to do it. You know, I could have conceded, but that's not what a racing car driver does.
So Thomas is actually in the chat. Thomas,
yeah, I can hear you
mate.
too.
Oh, hi, mate.
Maybe I just gave you a bit of room so he wouldn't shunt.
Fair enough.
There's the truth.
No, good racing.
It was a good battle to watch, boys. So well done. Thomas unfortunately copped the curb there and spun her out right near the end.
Yeah, look, I think I was some rear locking issues, so I probably had too much rear bias. But hey, I hadn't driven this car until about 5 o'clock this afternoon, so no, pretty happy. I think it's nice to be battling there for second place, and yeah, I threw second place away, but yeah, it's just a lot of fun, and yeah, looking forward to next week.
And next week we're heading to Barcelona in Formula 3 cars again. So you've got 7 days and nights, Tom, to swat up on the F3 car and get yourself ready for that one.
Yep, correct. No excuses this time.
Never any excuses. You should know better. Hey, good to chat to you. There he is, Tom Randall, made it home in P5 in the second race tonight at Monza in the car sales ARG eSport Cup. Tony Delberto, good night, great racing. There's the details of when you can see us in 7 nights' time. Round 5, this was the move of the night. Harley Haver going to the grass and going for second spot, getting it done. Thursday, April 30, 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Tune in on all sorts of platforms around the World Wide Web and social media to catch all the action. On behalf of Tony Delberto and the whole ARG team, I'm Aaron Noonan. We'll see you next week with the next round of the car sales ARG eSport Cup. Bye for now.